Cancel culture is awakening a conservative parallel society. In this video, we're going to take a look at a number of articles that have been written on the backlash against leftist cancel culture, how more and more conservatives are building what are called parallel structures to compete with leftist industries, and how those structures promise to eventually overwhelm leftist industries, leaving cancel culture nothing more than a relic of the past. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you as always. We're here to give you each and every single day conservative hope in the midst of these turbulent and trying times, helping you to think better so that you can feel better. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. We would love to have you as a regular part of this channel. And also, all this week, we've been celebrating the return of Parler and the return of our 60,000 subscribers over there. Wonderful to be back with everyone. And so for you Parler fans, make sure to click on that link below and subscribe to my Parler channel. And let's together support the return of this wonderful alt-tech site. Now, before we dive into things here, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video. And that's our good friends over at Noble Gold. Silver and gold, gang. Silver and gold. When times are tumultuous and turbulent, you simply can't beat it. There's never been a better time to start a gold or silver IRA in your portfolio, and the amazing staff over at Noble Gold are ready to help you in any way that they can. If that's not incentive enough, Noble Gold is giving away the U.S. Mint's own solid silver 5-ounce, $1 Apollo 11 moon landing coin with each qualifying gold or silver IRA. It's absolutely beautiful. So don't wait. Click on that link below or visit their website at noblegoldinvestments.com or give them a call at 877-646-5347. Make sure to mention my name, Dr. Steve Turley. Let's ride that gold wave together. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. A number of articles have been written of late noticing that the woke left and their cancel culture weaponry is actually having the reverse effect that these cultural Marxists intend. Rather than canceling conservatives, cancel culture is actually awakening a conservative parallel society. The latest major act of cancel culture was, of course, the canceling of the MMA fighter turned actress Gina Carano, who most notably played Cara Dune in the new Disney Plus series Mandalorian. Pretty cool series, I gotta say. They've done about 2 seasons thus far. But unfortunately for Gina, she's also a Trump fan, and she's very, very politically incorrect. And so, the cancel culture left has sought to silence her and permanently expel her, excommunicate her from society currently tyrannized by the proponents of political correctness. Just one problem. The conservative right has been steadily building up their own movie and entertainment structures, which include Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire and their recent move to begin funding films expressive of conservative values. And so, just 2 days after she was fired from The Mandalorian, it was announced that Gina would be working together with the Daily Wire to write and produce and star in her own film. And this move from Hollywood or Disney to a fully conservative entertainment platform highlighted both the growing demand for entertainment uncorrupted by leftist politics, as well as an increase in conservatives building their own platforms, and indeed their own society. Right after Carano was fired, Barry Weiss of the Wall Street Journal wrote this. I think it's so good. She called on conservatives to start building an entire parallel society. Quote, build original, interesting, and generative things right now, this minute. Every day I hear from those with means with children at private schools are being brainwashed. People who run companies where they're scared of their own employees. People who donate to their alma mater even though it betrays their principles. Enough! You have the ability to build new things. If you don't have the financial capital, you have the social or political capital, or the ability to sweat. Sweat equity, right? And so increasingly, we're seeing calls for conservatives to stop relying on Silicon Valley or Hollywood or Wall Street for their commodities and their services and their industries, which are increasingly infused with leftist liberalism, but instead build their own structures. Conservative entertainment, conservative streaming services, conservative social media, conservative schools, conservative colleges, conservative brands, conservative banks and credit card processing, and on and on and on. Now, this notion of creating parallel structures is not a new concept. It's actually rooted in a body of writings composed in the 1970s and 80s by the Czechoslovakian dissidents Václav Havel, who would become president of the Czech Republic, and Václav Benda. Now, these writings advocated the building of what they called a parallel public, or what Benda called a parallel polis, the polis being the term for the Greek city-state, like cosmopolis, right? Now, the idea of the parallel polis is that when the dominant institutions of society have become so corrupt as they were in the Soviet-dominated Czechoslovakia in the 1970s and 80s, the only way to maintain the flourishing of a genuine humanity is through the building of institutions that allowed people to live out truth. It's really a neat concept. And so these Czechoslovakian dissidents, they look toward the church and education, building educational institutions, publishing industries, and they created community spaces as facilitators of social networking that revealed the true nature of human flourishing, and thus in turn revealed the dominant Soviet institutions that denied truth to be what they were, which was a lie, a big fat leftist lie. That, I would argue, is precisely what Gina Carano is doing with Daily Wire, and that's precisely what many conservatives are doing in many different industries, building a conservative, parallel society that enables us to live our lives in truth. Lots and lots of examples. Let's start, of course, with the alt-tech revolution that's going on to challenge the big tech leftist monopoly. Alt-tech is perhaps the most obvious development in a parallel polis because of the media attention that it's getting, particularly when Parler was kicked off of Amazon web hosting services. But there's no question that alt-tech is indeed effectively challenging the left-wing monopoly of big tech oligarchs who don't have the slightest compunction or hesitation to censor conservative thought and speech. Before Parler went temporarily offline, it was downloaded over 11 million times, which was a clear blow to Twitter. In fact, a week after Twitter and Facebook kicked Trump off their platforms, Facebook, along with Twitter, lost a combined $51 billion in market valuation. So cancel culture is clearly hurting big tech, and it represents a clear victory in the building up of alternative social media structures. We also have the rise, of course, of conservative news sites. I mean, this is what made Rush Limbaugh so wonderful. He pioneered the rise of a brand new delivery system for news, talk radio, that in turn gave rise to alternative and more conservative news outlets like Drudge Report, Fox News, both of which, of course, have collapsed since. But if you are interested, I would be remiss in failing to mention that we do have a free resource for you here, and that's a revised and updated fake news antidote. We've updated our compilation of over 30 alternative news sites that I go to for my news each and every day. They're all conservative. They all celebrate Trump and the nationalist populist revolt going all over the world. And boy, do we need these new news resources now more than ever. So you can download your own copy of our updated fake news antidote completely free at the link down below in the pinned comment section. Have a ready list of your go-to sites that you'll definitely enjoy and will inspire you through these trying and turbulent times. It's yours absolutely free by clicking on the link below. It is my gift to you. Another area where we're seeing movement in terms of conservative parallel structures are banks, particularly banks that are beginning to hold digital monies like Bitcoin. Now, we reported a few weeks back on how the Bank of America Corporation was actually turning over private customer data to federal authorities on people who had not even been accused of any crime in an attempt to, quote, find possible insurrectionists just days after the Capitol building was breached. And we noted then that there were tons of articles out there listing out institutions like banks that actually agree with our values. Banks like the Evangelical Christian Credit Union and local banks all over the nation that are fully considered, fully supportive of our conservative values and beliefs. And there's just no reason on the planet for us to feel that we're somehow locked into having to use these corporate industries and companies that hate and despise and ridicule our conservative values. And that's especially true of education and schooling. Now, the irony here is that with the renaissance of classical education going on in our nation, conservatives are actually blowing away our liberal counterparts in the field of schooling, but most conservatives don't even know about it. We're seeing nothing less than a revolution in education, right in our midst, where schools are moving away from the notion of forming globalist citizens to instead instituting a classical educational renewal that seeks to cultivate wisdom and virtue in students. We're already seeing the results of it. Conservative classical schools have consistently scored the highest SAT scores in each of the three categories of reading, math, and writing among all independent, religious, and public schools. And conservative Christian colleges like Patrick Henry are consistently beating Ivy League schools in national and international moot court competitions for the last several years. I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff. So the days of conservatives having to depend on leftist industries and commodities are really over. A new conservative parallel society is indeed rising, and with each and every act of leftist cancel culture, that conservative society grows, which promises to eventually make the tyranny of politically correct society a thing of the past. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. You'll definitely want to check out my latest video. I just uploaded it on how Poland is striking back against big tech as more and more nations around the world revolt against leftist censorship. This has just been an amazing week for the blowback against big tech. You're going to love it. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.